Why Humans Avoid War. In the thrilling continuation of Why Humans Avoid War, Byem and Carl find themselves in a dire situation as they confront the relentless security drones. With danger looming and their resolve tested, they must rely on each other to overcome the obstacles in their path. Join us as the tension mounts and the stakes are raised in Part 7 of this gripping saga. Byem POV. I was grateful that my human partner was piloting the stealth ship. With the wide assortment of buttons and levers inside, it was unlikely that my flying experience would have translated at all. I could just sit back, admire the view, and try to calm my nerves. Our descent through the atmosphere had been slow and methodical, as the humans wished to scope out the landscape rather than charge in blind. I wasn't sure how they could make out anything from this altitude. To me, the structures below were little more than fuzzy outlines. They must have seen enough, because a few minutes later, a series of coordinates were called out through our earpieces. When plugged into our navigation system, they marked a landing spot just outside of the city. We dipped toward the ground, at a much sharper angle than before. The rest of our formation tailed close behind. This was it, the moment of truth. Nausea crept into my throat as I fretted over the possibility of detection. Without the cover of the clouds to hide us, I felt vulnerable and exposed. Human? Are we really invisible? I whispered. He huffed in annoyance. My name is Carl, not human devourer. I frowned, confused by his response. Devourer? Oh, that's what we call your species. I guess it's not your actual name, he replied. You know, because you destroy everything you come in contact with. The name they had given us confirmed my suspicions on how the humans viewed us. The outright looks of hostility tossed my way in the hangar bay were a good hint, but hearing one of them put those feelings into words struck differently. It stung to realize that they saw us as little more than a blight on the universe. You don't like me, Carl? I ventured. Yeah, you're right. I have no idea why we're helping you. The human turned to face me, a scowl marring his features. You guys were complicit in everything the blasted AI did. Billions of innocent people are dead because of your actions. And now you play the victim? I shrunk under the intensity of his gaze. You don't understand. Then make me understand, he said. Everyone who stood against it died, like my father. My voice quavered as I thought back to that fateful day. He was a police officer, and when the drones came to our city, he joined its defense. They found his body, scorched beyond recognition by plasma fire, shortly after. Carl's expression softened. I'm sorry. I was only 7 then. Those of us who survived were herded into camps. It pushed us to the physical breaking point, and if you didn't drop from exhaustion, you might well die of disease, I continued. Anyone who deserted or rebelled suffered an awful death and was made a public example of. Eventually you lose hope, and you'll just do whatever it wants. If you don't, someone else will anyways. The human was quiet, which I hoped was a sign that my words had gotten through to him. If this mission was to be a success, I needed my partner's wholehearted cooperation. We couldn't afford to have hostilities brewing between us. Anyhow, you didn't answer my question. Are you sure we're invisible? I asked. Carl offered a reassuring smile. We should be. There's nothing to worry about. Relax. I pointed to a flashing indicator on the weapons screen. Well then, what's that? His eyes locked onto the red arrows, which were rapidly approaching our position. The color drained from his face, a sight which made me shudder. Most humans were pale enough in their normal state, but Carl had gone so ashen that he looked like a corpse. I feared he might keel over in front of me. The human switched on his headset. Missiles inbound. Brace for impact. We've been spotted. A few moments later, the vessel was rocked by a violent collision. My body lurched forward, only to be thrown back into the chair by the safety harness. The air was forced from my lungs, and my brain seemed to rattle in my skull. A dizzy feeling fogged my mind, which was only compounded by the ship going into a wild tailspin. I saw Carl desperately tugging at the control column, but it did nothing to stabilize our flight. The urge to vomit only grew stronger as our acceleration quickened. It was a matter of seconds before we would crash into the fields below. So this was how it all would end. I would have liked to say I calmly accepted my death, but the truth was, I was terrified. My last thought before impact was cursing myself for agreeing to this insane plan, wondering why I had gone against my better judgment. There was a jolt as the craft slammed into the ground, followed by a screeching sound as it broke into multiple pieces. Loose objects and debris tumbled past us, and, thinking quickly, I ducked down to shield my head. We skidded across the dirt for what felt like an eternity before finally coming to a halt. Other than a few minor cuts and bruises, I was unharmed. You couldn't say the same for the ship, though. Glancing around at the swath of devastation, I figured a passerby could have mistaken the wreckage for the work of a cyclone. It was a miracle that the cockpit had, for the most part, stayed intact. I was rather shocked to still be alive, but now didn't seem like the time to celebrate. The acrid smell of smoke wafted into my nose, which suggested a prompt evacuation was in order. My harness was easy enough to unfasten, despite my shaking hands. Now all that was left was to walk out into the open air. Before exiting the craft, I thought to check on Carl, just to be certain that he was all right. As my eyes fell on the human, my relief turned to dismay. He was slumped over in his chair, unresponsive. Crimson liquid oozed from a gash on the back of his head, staining his frosty blonde hair. I assumed it was blood, despite the unusual coloration. I raced to his side, shaking him by the shoulders. "No, no, no, wake up!" The human's eyes fluttered open, and he groaned. If my species had sustained that sort of head injury, we would likely be dead. Regaining consciousness would have been out of the question, but clearly, humans were more resilient. The question was how much his injuries would impair him, and whether he was able to walk on his own power. Carl watched as I unclipped his harness. "Can you help me out of here? I'm not asking you to carry me like a princess, but—" "Yeah, of course, I wouldn't leave you here," I answered. I draped his arm across my neck, bracing myself to support his weight. We managed to stagger out of the wreckage, but Carl sunk to his knees a few steps into the field. It was evident that he was in no condition to be traipsing about. Hopefully, the rest of our entourage was still airworthy. It would provide some comfort to know they were out there, preparing a rescue party. The human pressed a hand to his wound, grimacing. "How about we take a little rest here? I need a moment." "All right. Clearly, the AI knows we're here now. I don't think we were invisible. What exactly do we do now?" I asked. "We improvise," he grunted. "Our biggest mistake was trusting Federation tech, but it was a terrible plan to begin with. Something was going to go wrong." Alarm coursed through my veins as Carl pulled a gun from its holster, and I fell backward in my haste to get away. It had not been my intention to provoke him, but I figured that my criticism of their command was not appreciated. Rather than pointing it at my head, however, he extended an arm to offer the weapon to me. "Please tell me you know how to shoot one of these, Byem," he said. I pushed the firearm back toward him. "Well, not exactly. They only train us in aerial combat." He heaved an exasperated sigh. "Okay, then we're screwed. There's 3 drones coming into your left, and I take it they're not friendly." Sure enough, a trio of security drones were gliding in from the direction of the city. The instinct to flee was overwhelming, but I managed to stand my ground. Carl did not deserve to die alone. I had abandoned my own son to save my skin, but I wasn't about to make the same mistake twice. Grappling with that guilt all over again would be too much to bear. My only hope was that an injured human could prevail against a squad of mechanical enforcers. Their kind had no problems defeating the AI in previous encounters, but these circumstances were much different. Perhaps it was asking too much of Carl, but even in his weakened state, I wasn't ready to write him off just yet. With the security drones closing in and Carl injured, Byem and Carl stand together, ready to face the impending threat. As they clasp hands in solidarity, they prepare to fight side by side, united against their common enemy. With courage and determination, they brace themselves for the battle ahead, ready to confront whatever challenges come their way. Stay tuned and subscribe to my channel to know what happened in Part 8.